Hello everyone. You know that every organism performs some basic functions which are required for proper body functioning so that it can prevent breakdown or damage to the body tissues. So the basic functions which are performed by all living organisms for their survival or for maintenance of their life are termed as life processes. So our today's topic is life processes. So, life processes are the basic activities or basic functions which are performed by all living organisms. Some of these are nutrition, respiration, transportation, or you can also say circulation. Transportation or circulation. Excretion, control and coordination, reproduction, and there are many more. There are two separate chapters for control, coordination and reproduction. So in this chapter life processes we will discuss about nutrition, respiration, transportation, excretion. So first we will start with nutrition. You know, energy is needed by all living organisms to perform their activities. So you can say that nutrition is the process by which source of energy, and what source of energy is? Food. So nutrition is the process by which food is taken from outside to the body of an organism for maintenance of life or to perform basic body functions. Okay, or in other words you can also say that nutrition is the process of taking nutrients. And why nutrients are required? For obtaining energy and for building and repairing of tissues. For building and repairing of body tissues. So you can say that nutrition is the process of taking nutrients for obtaining energy and for building and repairing of body tissues. Now one more word arises here, that is nutrients. So what nutrients are? These are the substances which are required for maintenance of life or the substances which provide nutrition to an organism. Next is mode of nutrition. Mode of nutrition. Mode means how an organism procure its food. कैसे एक organism अपना खाना लेगा. And there are different modes of nutrition for different types of organism. Basically there are two modes. Autotrophic mode of nutrition and heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Here auto means self and trophic means nutrition. So in this type of nutrition an organism makes its food by its own self, and in this autotrophic mode of nutrition what happens that organism use simple inorganic substances such as water, CO2, and in turn they make complex food such as glucose, or you can simply say carbohydrates. So the organisms which use inorganic substances to form their food are called autotrophs. Means the organisms are known as autotrophs, and this type of nutrition is known as autotrophic mode of nutrition. On the other hand, in heterotrophic mode of nutrition, organisms break complex organic foods such as carbohydrates, fats and proteins and break them into simpler substances before using them. Means in this organism use complex substances and in turn produces simpler substances. This is just reverse to autotrophic, and in turn produces simpler substances. So the organisms in this type of mode of nutrition are known as heterotrophs, and this type of nutrition is known as heterotrophic mode of nutrition. And for this process, for turning complex substances into simpler substances, the organisms have to use some biocatalyst, which enhances the rate of reaction, and these biocatalysts are known as enzymes. Means this work is carried out by enzymes. So these are two different modes of nutrition: autotrophic, heterotrophic. In autotrophic nutrition, organisms use simple substances and in turn convert it into complex, whereas in heterotrophic, organisms break complex substances into simpler substances by the help of enzymes. In this, organisms are known as autotrophs, and in this case, organisms are known as heterotrophs. Now we will start with autotrophic nutrition. In autotrophic nutrition, organisms make their food self. As I told you, auto itself means self. So example of autotrophic nutrition, one you can guess yourself, that is green plants. So these are also known as producers because they produce their food self, or some bacteria. Now autotrophic nutrition on the basis of source of energy which are required for synthesis of their food. So on the basis of source of energy which is required for synthesis of their food, we can classify them into two: photoautotrophic and chemoautotrophic. In photoautotrophic, source of energy is light, and plant use light for their synthesis of food. So example is green plants. In this, source of energy used is chemicals. Means in this light energy is used and in this chemical energy is used. So an example is bacteria. Some bacteria. Now we will discuss about plant nutrition. And I think in your earlier classes you discussed about the process, you studied about the process of photosynthesis. So plant nutrition, that means plant obtains its nutrition by the process of photosynthesis. And what photosynthesis is? It is a complex process by which a plant obtains its nutrition, and the reaction for photosynthesis is 6CO2 plus 12H2O, and in the presence of pigment chlorophyll, which is a green pigment of plant present in leaves, and sunlight. So 6CO2 plus 12H2O in the presence of chlorophyll and sunlight, it in turn produces glucose plus water plus oxygen. So you can say that photosynthesis is a complex process in which plant uses carbon dioxide and water, and in turn produces glucose, water and oxygen in the presence of chlorophyll and sunlight. From this reaction you can say that the raw materials used in photosynthesis are carbon dioxide and water, and this glucose produced by plants by the process of photosynthesis is used for providing energy, and at one time all the carbohydrate is not used. So the remaining carbohydrate or the remaining glucose which is not used up immediately by the plant is stored as starch, which acts as reserve reserve food material, or you can say reserve energy material, which is later on used up by the plants whenever required. In case of animals, this reserve food material is glycogen. So this is one of the question. What is the reserve food material in plants? Answer to this question is starch. And in animals, this is glycogen. So this is photosynthesis, which is a complex process in which plants synthesize glucose with the help of carbon dioxide and water in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. And chlorophyll is a green pigment which is present in chloroplast of the leaf. Now, events of photosynthesis. There are three events. First is, yes, how many events are there of photosynthesis? There are total three events. First is absorption. Second is conversion. And third is reduction. Absorption, conversion and reduction. Absorption is to gain something or to absorb something. So here what is absorbed? Light is absorbed by chlorophyll. So light is absorbed by chlorophyll, and chlorophyll contain magnesium ions which entrap the light. So in chlorophyll what is present? Magnesium ions are present which help in absorption of light. Now next is the light energy absorbed is now converted into chemical energy. So next process is light energy get converted into chemical energy, and water molecule gets split into hydrogen and oxygen molecules. So in second step there is conversion of light energy into chemical energy and splitting of water molecules into hydrogen and oxygen. Now next is reduction, that means gain of hydrogen ions. So in this step carbon dioxide gains hydrogen ion, and in turn it produces C6H12O6, that is glucose, or simply you can say carbohydrates. So basically there are three events of photosynthesis. First is absorption of light energy by chlorophyll, and chlorophyll contain magnesium ion which help in trapping of sunlight. Next is conversion, that is light energy get converted into chemical energy, and there is splitting of water into hydrogen and oxygen. And third is reduction. Reduction means gain of hydrogen, and in this step carbon dioxide undergo reduction to produce carbohydrates. So these steps may or may not occur immediately one after the another. Just if we take case of desert plants, then in this case carbon dioxide form one intermediate product, and that intermediate product is malic acid. This product is synthesized or formed during night time, and this malic acid is acted upon by the light during the daytime. In case of desert plants, CO2 is absorbed during night time and get changed into an intermediate compound, and that intermediate compound is, or that intermediate substance is malic acid, which is acted upon by the light, absorbed during daytime by the chlorophyll. That means during daytime this malic acid gets further converted into carbohydrates. So this event from CO2 to malic acid takes place during night time, and from malic acid to carbohydrates in the presence of sunlight during daytime. This is in the case of desert plants. So this is the exception. If we talk about site of photosynthesis, then we can say that photosynthetic organ in plant are leaves. Leaves are considered as photosynthetic organ as they have large surface area and have abundant vascular supply. That means they have abundant xylem and phloem, which transfer food, minerals, water and nutrients to the plant. And they have apparatus for gaseous exchange also. So leaves are considered as organ of photosynthesis. Photosynthetic organs in plants are leaves. Leaves contain some dotted structure which are also one of their organelle, and that dotted structure are chloroplast. These chloroplasts contain green pigment, that is chlorophyll, which entraps sunlight. So you can say that in leaves chloroplasts are present, and these chloroplasts contain green pigment, photosynthetic pigment, that is chlorophyll, which contains magnesium ion for trapping sunlight. Okay, so if we see cross section of a leaf, then we will see its different compartments. First of it is epidermis, then next is stomata. This is plural word and its singular is stoma. And next is this guard cells. So cross section of leaf, if leaf is composed of epidermis, stomata and guard cell. If we see diagrammatically, then this is epidermis and this one is upper epidermis. There are two epidermis present in leaf. This is upper epidermis, which is also covered by waxy cuticle. This upper epidermis is without stomata, and actually it is a protective covering which prevents internal organ from damaging. Okay, so this is upper epidermis, and here we will draw lower epidermis. This is without chloroplast, and this is lower epidermis. And in between these two epidermis, what is present? Mesophyll cells. And there are two types of mesophyll cells exist. First is palisade, which are cylindrical, and other one is spongy, which are circular. So here first one is just next to upper epidermis. What is present? Palisade layer is present. Palisade mesophyll cells are present, which contain chloroplast. So these are chloroplast cells. These are chloroplast. So you can say that it is the site for photosynthesis. Next to it is spongy mesophyll cells. These are circular shaped cells and these are loosely packed, as these have air spaces between them. So these are air spaces. So this is palisade and this is spongy, and the spaces between these cells are air spaces. Then next is lower epidermis, which contain stomatal openings. So it contains stomata, and these stomata are site for gaseous exchange, and these are guarded by guard cells. So guard cells frame the stomata, and these guard cells are of different shape in case of dicots and monocots. In dicots, these are kidney bean shaped, rajma ke jaise, and in case of monocots, these are dumbbell shaped. So if we discuss about opening and closing of stomata, then you can say that stomata are opened and closed with the help of guard cells, and along with gaseous exchange, stomata help in transpiration, that is loss of excess of water. So if this is epidermis, These are epidermal cells. These are guard cells, and in guard cells also chloroplasts are present. So these are chloroplasts and this is nucleus. This is guard cell of dicot. These are guard cells of dicot, and this opening is stoma, because singular is stoma. These are guard cells. Guard cells are also rich in chloroplasts. So these also serve as site of photosynthesis, and guard cells are usually present on the lower surface of leaves, and in some plants also it is present on in some plants it is present on upper surfaces also. So generally these are restricted to lower surface. So when means plant have to conserve water, and means plants do not require gaseous exchange, and plants need to conserve water. That time these get closed, and when plants need gaseous exchange and want to lose water, that time these get open. So opening and closing of stomata is regulated by guard cells. So when plants take in water, that time these become turgid and these get open. When plant loses water, that means that time these get shrink and these get closed. So opening and closing of stomata is based on turgidity. Plants become turgid, or these guard cells become turgid when they are full of water, and you can say turgid guard cell, water get filled and stomata get open. So when guard cells are filled with water, then guard cells become turgid and they lose water. And in other case, when they lose water, that means they do not remain turgid and these get closed. So on the basis of turgidity, guard cells open and close stomata. Now if we see conditions required for photosynthesis, then different conditions are there which are necessary for photosynthesis, out of which first is sunlight. Sunlight is a major factor which affects the photosynthesis, and its intensity, how intense the sunlight is, its quality and its duration majorly affect the rate of photosynthesis. And other factor is chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is the green pigment which helps in entrapping of or trapping of sunlight. If chlorophyll will not be there, then plants will be unable to trap sunlight. So these two are conditions required for photosynthesis. Now we will talk raw material which is required for photosynthesis. In reaction of photosynthesis, we discussed two raw materials. First is carbon dioxide. And CO2 gets released by the humans or by other organisms during the course of respiration, which is taken up by the plants through stomatal pores. And stomatal pores are the tiny pores which are present on lower surfaces of leaf, whose opening and closing is regulated by guard cells. So second raw material is water, which is absorbed by roots, and then roots transfer it to leaves, that is our site of photosynthesis, with the help of conductive tissue or vascular tissue, that is xylem, and then leaves send it to photosynthetic cell, where water gets split into hydrogen and oxygen in the presence of sunlight. So this is the second raw material. First raw material is carbon dioxide, which is taken up by stomatal cells, and second is water, which is absorbed by root. And there are some other materials such as nitrogen, phosphorus, magnesium, which are also taken up by roots. So nitrogen is the basic constituent which help in synthesis of proteins and some other molecules also, and nitrogen is generally absorbed in the form of inorganic nitrates or nitrites from the soil, or these are generally inorganic or organic substances made up by nitrogen fixing bacteria. Nitrogen fixing bacteria which locate on the roots. So you can say that nitrogen is basically absorbed in two forms. One is inorganic nitrates or nitrites directly from the soil, or the organic substances which are made up by nitrogen fixing bacteria which reside in the soil. So today we discussed about nutrition, different modes of nutrition, autotrophic nutrition, process of photosynthesis in plants, events taking place in photosynthesis, and then cross section of leaf, raw material required by plants during photosynthesis, and conditions. So this is all about autotrophic nutrition. If you are new to my channel, then do subscribe, share and like, and press bell icon also, so that you can get all the updates. Thank you.